my wife had kind of gotten used to the speed that I operate a lot. So when I said, I'm thinking about like maybe we'll start a bike shop. She told a friend like that day on the phone, like, I think we're going to start a bike shop. And her friend was like, wait, what? She's like, I don't know. Dave brought it up, which means it's probably been bouncing around for a minute, which means it's probably real. So I think we might actually be doing this. And it rolled out quick, even for what I was expecting. Everything, just doors kept opening. I told her, I'm just going to keep knocking until the doors stop opening. They never did. So,
Craft Your Life is a radio show for the tenacious, the bold, and those who refuse to settle for mediocrity. We bring together visionaries, game changers, and relentless go-getters who are crafting their lives, businesses, and relations in pursuit of excellence. If you are ready to shatter limits, embrace the amazing, and live life on your own terms, this show is for you. Each episode delivers actionable insights, inspiring stories, and unfiltered conversations that will ignite your drive to win a life worth dying for. Tune in and get ready to live viciously. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Craft Your Life radio show. I'm your host, Matthew Kuehlhorn, and today I've got a really good friend of mine. Dave Forster is joining us from Missouri. He is a historic entrepreneur, currently owner and founder of Dave's Bike Shop, where our passion for cycling meets our commitment to community and mental awareness. Dave, welcome.
thanks for having me.
Yeah. You are beaming in from Raymore, Missouri?
Yep. Raymore, Missouri, just about 15 minutes south of the KC Metro, kind of getting swallowed into the whole thing in the last couple of years.
And are you in an office that's at your bike shop? Are you at Dave's Bike Shop right now?
We're actually in the Bike It Out Lounge, which is like our complimentary lounge area where we host workshops and customers can hang out while our service is being done or any of that stuff.
Awesome. Bike It Out Lounge. All right. As I historically do, I want to kick off by asking you, where did you grow up?
Yeah. Not here. I grew up in a little town outside of Topeka, Kansas, on a cattle farm. And we were, it was actually my great-grandparents' historic land that they had owned, and my parents had bought a portion of it from them and built their home before I was born. I'm the youngest, so that property's still there. No cattle anymore, but still a big farm.
Still property in your family?
Yep.
Cool.
It's we'll be going on 5th generation when our kids take over.
Wow.
So that'll be
amazing.
It's kind of a cool deal.
That's cool.
And so we were just country kids that grew up outside of everything and had to go into town to get stuff, but just a very quiet and hardworking childhood.
Yeah, so it was a working farm, and you carried, as a young kid, responsibility to make the wheels turn on that thing.
Yeah, as much as the baby of the family can, right?
Okay.
And my dad actually was he worked full time as a computer programmer, or had worked his way up to being a programmer for the railroad, and then moved over to the Department of Transportation. So this was kind of a hobby farm. And my mind still has to wrap around how my dad was able to run a hobby farm with 50 head of cattle on 100 and whatever acres, with, kids and 4-H and hogs and chickens and all the other projects that we were doing, and building everything on his own, miles of barbed wire fence and barns. And, so he was definitely a role model that set the standard.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so I heard baby of the family, but as much responsibility as a baby of the family could. So what was a typical day like? Like, we're talking like before 10, right?
Oh,
so,
gosh.
Yeah.
Dad.
I mean,
Dad
what was a typical day like? Like in a
Dad
summer
was usually up
day, map it out for me. What was Dave doing?
4:35 a.m. You heard footsteps down the hallway, and you knew that you better not be laying there too much longer. My dad was a driver, but he wasn't too hard on things, I guess. He gave us the freedom to be who we were, but But he definitely set the standard, and he was going to lead by example. So he was out early, and created not situation, but just an atmosphere for us to want to be more like him and want to be with him. Though he was a hard man and he had his times of being, hard on us. We were up early, either doing chores, feeding chickens, letting the dogs out. As we were younger, doing the small stuff like that. Still helping move cattle as much as you can when you weigh, 50 pounds and you're 3 foot tall. Moving panels, helping do, whatever we had to do to move the cattle from area to area, different seasons of the year. Separating calves off, stuff like that.
Yeah, amazing. So is that the lifestyle all the way through high school?
Pretty much, yeah. It shifted a little bit right around that time that I was getting out of high school and moving on to less cattle. My brother had started doing high school rodeo stuff, so we had some horses, and it kind of started to shift from cattle to horses for a little while. But it was definitely still the same chores of animals and all. Yeah.
What'd you do after high school?
I went to K-State, Kansas State University in Manhattan, and studied a few different things. I kind of split my time between a couple different majors, all in the biology field though. So kinesiology and exercise science, and landscape management, plant biology, and then animal biology as well. My brother was a meat science guy. He owns a meat locker now, so he went through the cattle thing all through life. But I just love science and biology and learning about how things work. So did that for 3.5 years at school there, and then decided that the prices were getting too high and I wasn't learning any real practical stuff anymore. So I just decided to move on and do my own thing.
Okay. Is that when you started entrepreneurial pursuits? I mean, I know a little bit about your story, but give us a little summary. So you left K-State, started doing your own thing.
Yep. So while I was in school, I had worked for a friend's dad who was a stonemason and learned a little bit about that side of the construction industry and outdoor stuff. And I mean, to rewind a little bit, like in my childhood, I was when I really got bit by the bug. So like a neighboring farm asked us to come and clear cedar trees out of their pasture. And he asked my dad, "Hey, could one of your boys or both of your boys come over and do that?" And I was like, he said $1 a tree. And I was like, "Hey, $1 a tree. How many trees are there? Like, let's go do this thing." Right. So I grabbed an axe and took off, and it didn't matter. Like my question was, is this a tree or does it have to be like a tree? Like what's the deal here? And there wasn't a cedar tree left in that place. I'll tell you that. And then I had a hamster breeding operation for a little while. That was an accident, but turned into a fairly lucrative deal. So kind of all through, and doing a lemonade stand when your nearest neighbor is like a half mile away isn't really that lucrative. So that wasn't anything that worked out for me, even though I tried. But I was always trying those little projects. So legit entrepreneurship of real business started after I left there and started my first what I would call real landscape construction business and maintenance. Moved to Kansas City, knew nobody. I just moved down here and decided that working for somebody else just really was not working for me. And decided to get a truck, a trailer, a mower, and some other tools, and started doing landscape design and install stuff that I had some, experience with and learned in school. Just started going from there.
Yeah. I love this, man. And I love, the recognition of like, quote unquote, real entrepreneurship, business. And there is some structure, but what is real is the hamsters. What is real is the cedar trees, like having that bite and be like, all right, what's going to take, how do I input my time or, input my knowledge into something and have a return on it. It's kind of a cool connect to make.
Hey everybody, this is Luke from Cooler Garage Doors. Just want to take a quick second to talk about our sponsor, Sommer Garage Door Openers. In our opinion, Sommers are the highest quality product on the market today. We recommend them for all of our residential garage door installs because of the variety of features they include, such as Wi-Fi connectivity and safety features such as a fixed chain, which moves along a secure rail to ensure your garage door opens quietly and safely. Click on the link in the description to learn more about Sommer garage door openers.
So, how did Dave's bike shop form? Because you were in landscaping. Like, where'd the bike shop come from?
Well, we had built and sold at that point 2 small landscape companies. Didn't ever sell because like it was time to exit and retire, and we had this big operating business. It was more life stuff that just through time and prayer with my wife just decided, hey, it's time for us to just lay this down and do something different for a little while. And so we had done that twice, and we were our third one on it actually, and was just kind of at a point of the summertime when I would usually get to like, okay, I need kind of a staycation or a vacation or something just to cool out for a week or so. My body was hurting. I was in my early 30s, and I was just kind of like, okay, I've been doing this. I'm only in my early 30s, and I've been doing this for 20 years. Like, because I started when I was like, well, obviously farm life, but then, 14 years old working for doing the construction thing. So, I went for a bike ride. My wife said that thing's hanging on the wall long enough. If you don't ride it, I'm going to sell it. And I said, oh, don't do that. It was a really nice bike. So I went for a bike ride, and I've ridden my bikes and stuff my whole life, but that one was different. And just something kind of just felt like it fell off of me. And I just realized like, wow, that was the most peaceful, real freedom feeling I have had in as long as I can remember. There weren't any phone calls bothering me, no crew problems, no project management problems, no customer problems. I was just like, wow, it's just me and my bike and the road. And just wanted to share that with as many people as possible once I got back. So I started looking into, okay, maybe we structure this business to sell here in the next couple of years, get things placed together better. And I'm going to start looking into what does it look like to start a bike shop. Maybe I think that's the best way to like share this with people and really get people on a bike and help them understand. And about 3 months later, after a couple phone calls ended up going very well, we had a grand opening, and thought I would run both of them simultaneously for a little while, but it ended up being a pretty quick handoff to another young guy a couple months later before the next spray, and ended up going full time into this and building community, and here we are.
That's a quick start, man.
It was my wife had kind of gotten used to the speed that I operate a lot. So when I said, I'm thinking about like, maybe we'll start a bike shop, she told a friend like that day on the phone, like, I think we're going to start a bike shop. And her friend was like, wait, what? She's like, I don't know. Dave brought it up, which means it's probably been bouncing around for a minute, which means it's probably real. So I think we might actually be doing this. And it rolled out quick, even for what I was expecting. Everything, just doors kept opening. I told her, I'm just going to keep knocking until the doors stop opening. They never did. So,
I want to hear more about that bike ride. Like, what fell off of you?
just the stress and anxiety of, and the weight of what it takes to run a business. And I would even say at that point, like I was 4 or 5 on, ventures in, and I still don't know at that point that I really knew what it took to run a business. I may have known, but I wasn't walking it out and I wasn't really operating in it. And so all of that weight was just like, well, I have to do all this. This is all on me. All the weight's on me. And just wanting to accomplish so much and knowing that like somehow this is all landing on me, and how am I going to just every day waking up and that weight that I was carrying. And, when I went out for that bike ride, honestly, I couldn't think about it. I had to think about not falling off my bike, right? I hadn't ridden my bike in a while. So the balance wasn't amazing, right? So and I ride, it was a road bike. So, I'm clipped into the pedals and I've got my kit on and I'm, when I go for a bike ride, I was like, well, I'm going to go ride 10, 15, 20 miles and see how I
Yeah.
feel.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't in a huge hurry, but it was just, I everything just was clear. Like none of that stuff was even on my mind at all. And it was just fresh air and the beautiful scenery of the countryside. And uh, that was the first time in a long time that I'd allowed myself to not think about it.
Mm.
So
So in operating the bike shop, is that still accessible to you? You still find those moments of what I might call presence?
Uh, yeah. Um, it's different. And we just had our little girl a couple years ago. So like my whole life routine is different on, priorities and when I want to spend that time and how I want to spend that time. And, so it's less on the bike, putting in miles and, a little more, on the floor crawling around.
Hmm.
But I still find most of my time, honestly, now is on an indoor bike, because it's either really early or late when she's asleep still. And, still just a difference. Even indoor riding is valuable to me because of the, um, pushing myself and the endorphins and a lot of the biology that goes behind it, but also, um, just, just pushing through that stuff.
Yeah.
But when I'm crawling around on the floor, I'm not thinking about business. I'm thinking about what's right in front of me, chasing my little girl around the kitchen island and what she wants to do. So
Yeah. Wha- So is there a correlation? I guess I've got a couple of questions. Is there a similarity there? So you're chasing your little baby around, you're not thinking about work, you're on a bike, in the flow, not thinking about work. Like you're able to release some of the day by day stressors that an entrepreneurial individual carries. How would you define that? Like, A, are those two like the same? Is it a matter of finding these activities that allow us that brevity and that break? So one question is, are those two experiences for you the same, crawling around with your baby and biking as far as releasing stuff? And then what would you define? What word do you use to say, okay, when I'm biking or when I'm hanging out with my baby, like that is X, like that is clarity, that's presence, that's your word to define that?
yeah, honestly, the word I always use is um, just pure freedom. Um, it's the most light I've ever felt, and that's how I envision freedom is, doing what you want to do when you want to do it with who you want to do it. Right. So, that's what I'm doing in that moment. I'm doing what I want to do, which is either ride my bike and get some fresh air and just destroy my body, for a time being. And when I'm with my daughter, I want to be with her and enjoy her and the thing that she wants to do. And I'm doing that with who I want to do it with on my bike. A lot of times it's me. We build a community here. And one thing I found is that I also, there's a delicacy to respecting that quiet time. So, hey, come ride with us, come ride with us, come ride with us. We've got this big community. It's amazing. And at the same time, like the thing that drew me in was that no, there's no people. I don't want the people. I just want me, and silence. Um, so yes, I would say they are very connected. I'll be the first one to tell you that a bike is an amazing tool to find that freedom and to relieve that stress and to push your body and to tame your mind and all of those things. If the bike isn't your thing, just find your thing. Like the bike it out thing for me is just whatever it is, go find your element and your tool to take that off. It's not going to go away. Stress is not going to just disappear. You go for a bike ride and you're never going to be stressed again. That's foolish to think that, but, it's a management tool. We have time management. We have, nutritional management, and, we need to have mental and stress management as well.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is go get a bike or go get a baby.
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah. And I know you love, hitting the bags like boxing and doing that. And so for you, taking that time to just go out by yourself and visualize a certain way, and just beat the tar out of that bag hanging there, is something that can really just take that stuff off of you. And it's like almost like taking off the armor and just stepping into the ring as a raw person and doing it. So
Yeah, man, I think it's incredibly important. And I also am a biker, and just the freedom. I love that word, and I think that resonates with me. My word for this kind of area that we're discussing is presence. Freedom is very similar in some of the ways where we're just releasing, like we can just be, right? Like that is so important for mental wellness and that sort of stuff. Um, as you've developed this cycling community and Dave's bike shop, and now this provider of tools, which happen to be bikes for people's freedom, how has that impacted you?
uh in lots of ways. I would say I've learned, the first thing that comes to mind is I have learned so much more in the last 7 years to enjoy serving. Um, I used my competitive side is a little bit different now. Instead of wanting to go lead the group and crush everyone if I'm on a group ride and be one of the guys at the front and go back and forth and just fight each other and and do that, it's I enjoy almost as much just organizing a situation with the right people that I know will be the right people for the season of either life or riding abilities that certain people are in. And I can even just not be on the ride. But so learning to serve the community more than um, be, a user of the community. And so I used to want to go ride all of the big charity rides that were around town so I could do the long route and go get my miles in. In the last couple of years, I've had way more fun running a SAG stop, which is where all the snack foods and drinks are along the way, and serving those people as they come by and making sure they're hydrated and they're feeling good and they've got any questions about anything along the way, and getting to meet everybody that's coming through. Instead of the 6 people that are riding around me when I'm riding, I get to meet all 400 people that are coming through that stop and serve them in a way that I know is needed because I've been there. So um, that's been probably the biggest thing that I've gotten from it.
That's cool. What does bike it out mean to you?
Um, yeah, whatever it may be. So if it's, and it changes, and seasons and days are different. Hours are different. So if it's anger, I'm really frustrated about something, I know that I can just go put it in the pedals, man. Just mash that thing and go for a really hard ride, and it'll clear my head. If I'm just feeling anxious or depressed about something and I'm just really down, I go for a ride and get some just deep breathing and fresh air and sunshine. And I know that when I get back, I'm gonna feel better. I'm gonna be in a better mood. I'm gonna be a better person for my family and my team. And I've done a lot of measuring of that. I mean, there's all the biological stuff that goes with it: the sunlight, the fresh air, the endorphins. Like all of those things compile into the biological reasons why it happens. But even just in the simple side of it, measuring that by asking the people around me if they notice, like, what did you notice different about me after the ride? Like, and taking time to go through some of those conversations has been interesting to see the way that they dramatically see differences. So it's just a tool to
Yeah.
make myself better.
Yeah. So it is, um, I'm hearing emotion, and like, would I venture into even belief?
Yeah. I mean, if you're having, I mean, I've seen it happen in different people's lives that have struggles that I've never had. And so whatever that it, and that's how, whatever it may be, quotes around the it can be just a bad day. It can be a family issue. It can be, poor self confidence. One of my favorite stories about a customer is she came into the shop when we were first started, and she did a little bit of running, but she hadn't ridden a bike in a long time. She was really shy. She was really kind of standoffish when she came into the shop, and she was one of the most kind people I've ever met. She was very open and honest with us, but she could tell she was really shy. She was really reserved. And she was really timid about trying this bike riding thing. So she didn't want to start fancy. She didn't want to start with it. Just wanted a simple bike to go for a bike ride around her neighborhood. And over the next couple of years, she became one of our best customers. She became one of our best friends. She went from just a simple hybrid bike to a more advanced road and gravel bike. She really opened up out of her shell and became one of the more leadership people of that part of our community and that type of riding and that level of riding. And it was amazing to see this little shy, reserved, she was a woman, but girl that just didn't have a ton of confidence and presence, to one of the most fun and open conversation leading people in the group, all because she came to try out riding a bike. So it was really cool to watch that.
That's amazing, man. So many things are bubbling up, as you share that story. I've had conversations. I've heard of your business, your story, your mission, the vision. This component of freedom is in this conversation. I understand it as a deeper level than I've ever heard it before. And when I see that phrase, bike it out, part of what comes to me is okay, so this could be a tool to release stuff and let the anger, let the frustration go, let whatever emotion might be distracting us from this freedom, this presence. And in that story, I'm also bike could also equal bring. So it could be bring it out. It is really the inspiration, the spirit of a human. If we have all this stuff clothing and weighing us down, then our spirit it's blocked, right? And so I go back to again, crafting a life. And certainly in crafting a life, we've got to find a way to bring us up and bring us out. And I could just see it's bike it out equals bring spirit up, the same kind of thing. How do we uncloth a human of emotions that aren't empowering, of beliefs that aren't empowering, and rebuild confidence and regain freedom, and therefore a different version of that individual is now shown. And
I've got all kinds of visuals now that I want to start sketching just from you saying that stuff. I can see somebody.
It's pretty cool, man.
Finding all these things coming off of them, right? And just they're the real person of who they are just coming out of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I get it. Cause I've had some cool experiences on a bike, and yet with that intentionality, to actually go bike it out, to actually bring it out, to bring me out, how cool is that? You're not just selling a bike. And what I love about you and the guys that we run with, there are widgets that we are selling, but it's not really that. I think most of us know that it's not the widget. It's a cool garage door, it's a cool bike, but at the end of the day, we're serving people, and there's a much deeper transaction that's happening.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. And that's, even from day one, when people ask, why we open the shop or whatever, say, well, we're really just a community center. We happen to be doing the bike shop thing. If bikes were made illegal for whatever reason, we'd figure out whatever else it was that was going to bring people together and open up this part of their life and help them find that freedom. So, yep.
Yeah. You'd bring babies. You'd have a baby farm. Come find your freedom with this baby. That's beautiful, man. How do listeners connect with you? Where do we find you if we want to
Yep.
jump into the community that you're building? Where
Yeah.
are we going?
Facebook is our strongest way of connecting. Dave's Bike Shop KC is the tag on Facebook, and if you really want to, if you're local to the area and or you're ever going to be local to the area, we have a community page that is called the Bike It Out Community, and that is something that you can request to be a part of on Facebook, and we'll approve because it's local. We're protecting the safety of a lot of people in the group, and we don't want any, weird happenings when people post where they're riding and stuff like that. We do monitor who's in there and make that a reserve thing. But that's the main place that our community connects. And then if you want to connect with me, LinkedIn is one of the better areas. David Forster on LinkedIn. And
That's awesome. We'll definitely include those links and items into our show notes. Before I let you go, Dave, like, what does the future look like for you?
I'm excited to see the team here grow to handle more of the day-to-day operations, and we can put our efforts into the community side and the impact side. My wife and I are really passionate about serving other leaders and other entrepreneurs in the community with their marriages and with their families and with their mental wellness. So getting our team facilitated and strengthened on that side to move forward with that would be dreamy.
I love it. I love it, man. Well, I just appreciate your story. I love the bike it out message, and I love seeing deeper and a little bit more under the hood. It's really, really cool. I'm inspired to go ride my bike. Maybe it'll happen today. But nonetheless, I would encourage listeners to reach out to Dave, see what he's got going on. He's got a good social profile mix going on. And certainly if you heard the message and understood what the conversation was about regarding mental wellness or regarding finding freedom or presence, like, that's an important part. And so whether it's a bike, whether it's a baby, whether it's a punching bag, we're looking for the tool that can really release that stuff. And I just appreciate the way that you brought it forward today, Dave.
Yeah. And let me throw one more thing out there for the people who aren't as local. I'm pretty active on my indoor bike, and the way that has grown in technology in the last few years with I use a platform called Zwift, and I host weekly and sometimes multi-weekly virtual rides where we can ride as a group, but it's virtually, so you have your bike set up on an indoor trainer. If you have any questions about setting that stuff up, what you would need to be able to join that, how we can help you get set up with that, any of that, I'm pretty passionate about the fact that indoor riding is nearly as, if not as effective as outdoor riding, just in a different way. Because
Bro, I love that.
seasonal depression is just as impactful as anything else. So,
Bro, is there, like you said, Zwift
Zwift with a Z.
Do you have a handle within Zwift? Like, if I was to jump on that and come find you?
Yeah. I am
How do I do that?
the Dave, is
All
what
right.
my handle is, and it has bike it out in parentheses. So yeah.
Awesome.
And then there's
Awesome.
also Dave's Bike It Out community on there, which is where we host the events and stuff like that.
Love it. Love that. Awesome, man. Thanks for sharing that. That would have been a miss. And we not gotten that out.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry I didn't
Zwift,
pop up soon.
find the Dave and go bike it out. Appreciate you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I would really appreciate it if you would help us continue the momentum that we have in subscribing, sharing, and liking our show. Let's extract really cool conversations with amazing people that are out crafting amazing businesses, relationships, lifestyles. So let's grow this thing together, and just know that you are appreciated.